Real Estate and Chill podcast, the newest and coolest podcast. So tune in. Two experts discussing the real estate market. Loan officer James Chaudhry and associate real estate broker Kevin Iglesias. Beware, this is not another boring podcast. This right here is the shit you need to hear. Respectfully.
Welcome back to the newest episode of the Real Estate and Chill podcast. I'm your host, James Chaudhry with United Mortgage, here with
Kevin Iglesias, associate broker, Realty Connect. Today in the building, we have a TikTok star, a motivational speaker, an online performance coach, Giselle Ugarte.
Let's go! That's a way to wake things up.
The anticipation.
Right?
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Like, whatever. Is it in my head?
So fun.
Kevin, it's in your head.
I hope it is. Leave it there. Leave
Yeah.
it there for the show.
It's
Come
a
on.
party with Ugarte.
Yes. Yes.
So please introduce yourself.
Oh my goodness. My name is Giselle Ugarte. I'm based in Minneapolis, lived in LA for 10 years, and I coach real estate agents and real estate professionals how to show up on social media and get confident in front of the camera and how to optimize video. And I get really, really giddy and not just caffeinated when talking about TikTok.
Your videos are amazing.
Thank you.
Very informative.
Thank you.
How did you get started in all this?
You know, I have been doing video for more than 10 years. I did live network television for a long time. I did radio, from there transitioned into digital branding. But working with real estate professionals is something that I stumbled into over the last year and a half. I've worked with real estate agents on an agency level at an advertising agency, but when it came to like individual coaching and really focusing on the whole online performance coach aspect of it, it was more recent where I saw it as a demand, where I would be invited to work with real estate agents or speak at conferences, and I could just see either this cry for help or like this need for this push of like just being sick of seeing the same social media profiles where it just looks like Zillow threw up on your profile or like you
That's
just,
James's profile.
yeah,
I don't even post anything.
or like it looks like Canva just threw up on your profile
Okay,
and
might
like or like is this a Costco template, like what is this? And even
MySpace.
myself too. I mean, but here's the thing, like the beautiful thing about your industry that I love so much is it is so contagious, right? Like it is so referral based. Where
Random confetti just that was
go with
perfect.
it.
That was perfect.
it was God from the sky going, this is what we need, listen up. and so, you know, the beautiful thing about that is the referral business, where at the beginning of this year, I would say that like real estate people 10, maybe 15% of my business, and now it's like 80-90% of my business, just because of so many of the referrals, so many of the disruptions. And I think that's also what's fun about my situation too, is I'm not a real estate agent. I've never sold a house, and neither of your clients, by the way, hence why I'm so good at my job. But here's the thing is just that, you know, how it's grown and evolved, I don't have anybody who I'm trying to impress. I don't have anything to lose. And so if I have an opinion on something, I'm not afraid to share it and to say it and speak it. Like, I'm not trying to be part of a cookie cutter mold. And I think that that's one of the issues that happens in real estate, is everyone's trying to be like their picture in their head of whatever perfect or ideal of real estate agent, and they don't realize that it can look so many different ways. Like whether it's so many different colors or languages or accents, or even just like what you guys are doing. Like you can sell houses, or you can help people with loans, or, you know, and not even an or, and that's like a big thing I think with our generation, is you don't have to do just one thing. Like, and you could also have a podcast, and you could also make TikToks, and you could also be paid to be a speaker, and you could be an investor, like so many different things. And so that's part of me, is you come to me thinking that you want help with social media, but then I end up helping you realize maybe dreams that you didn't know you had and like confidence or creativity that you didn't realize was like screaming in there for help.
And you're very like transparent on your social media, which a lot of people engage with, interact with. You know, you say anything that's on your mind. One thing that really caught my attention was like a lot of real estate agents are making videos right now for other real estate agents and not for the audience. So can you dive into that? Because I thought that was really interesting.
That's a good point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what I truly said was, and I want to say this again, even though you just said it, which is a lot of people in the real estate industry you're making content for other people in the business and not your clients. Now, if you're making it for other people in the business and you're trying to attract more people to your team, like that's fine. If you're trying to attract or train other people who might work for you, or because you wish that you could have been that person that you had when you were younger, when you had no idea what the heck you were doing, like that's fine. But for most of you, what you think you're trying to do is generate more leads from social media, and you wonder why it's not working, and it's because a lot of times you are making that content only thinking about, well, I wonder what so-and-so is going to think of me. Or I'm doing this because my broker told me I was supposed to. Or, well, Ryan Serhant did this, so I should probably do this. Or Gary Vaynerchuk told me to do this, so I should do it. But the reason why I think, I know my content, resonates so well is because I know exactly who I'm talking to. And I break it down. So whenever real estate professionals start making videos, I think sometimes we get into our own heads and thinking that you need to, be the smartest, or like be the encyclopedia, or like know every single little thing, or use like big words. But a lot of times your clients have no idea what those big words are. Like if anything, your clients are coming to you hoping that you will teach them what that looks like. Or like I'm sure you've had clients come into your office and you know that they Googled whatever they're asking you about because it doesn't make any kind of sense. They're trying to pretend like they know what they're talking about, or like whatever the equivalent of WebMD is on, in real estate, like, oh, well, like the Zestimate, or, like, oh, but I saw this, that they don't get it. And so how wonderful it could be if you create content educating them before they even walk through the door. And so then from there, you're doing two wonderful things. One, you're making them feel like you can read their mind. And two, you're making them feel like they already know you. Like, oh, you already answered all of my questions. Clearly, you're a trustworthy, incredible person. Yeah. And by the time they reach out to you, like they already know they want to work with you. Like they already know it. And so then your sale is yours and yours to lose if you don't line up with who you're showing in that video.
So basically, real estate professionals should be doing more educational videos. Mm-hmm. Can you give us like some topics?
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many things that, like, everything works and nothing works. It's all a matter of consistency. So the easiest thing I would say is think about what are the top 5 questions that you're getting on a regular basis. And we skip over the most simple things. For example, what do you do? Like, what do you actually do? Like, when was the last time that you did some sort of an introduction or a reintroduction post, or is it clear in your bio of what you do? Because, for example, I could say, oh, I'm a real estate agent, or I could say, oh, I work in mortgage, or I could say, oh, I'm a real estate investor. What does that mean? Like, does that mean that you do residential? Does that mean you do commercial? Do you specialize in multifamily? Do you specialize in investments? If it's investments, is it Airbnbs? Is it vacation properties? Are you the type of real estate agent who you speak a different language? Is it the type of thing where we're going to be hands-on and you're going to hold my hand and I might cry in front of you? Or is it the kind of thing where I don't even meet you and you just tell me where to sign the dotted line and you take care of everything? And everyone's process is different. To think that people know what you do without you saying what you do, it's completely false. Yeah. So like explain, you need to spell that out, and you can do it either by physically doing that or, showing rather than telling. And that's where you can paint the picture together with stories, showing what a day in the life is like for you. And that's another idea for a post as well. An introduction, a day in the life. But then pay attention to the questions that you're getting all of the time, or pay attention to those moments when your client acts like they know what they're talking about, but they don't actually. Like, have a notepad on your phone where you're constantly writing ideas or questions where you're like, I can't believe they asked me that question. Like, even simple things like, what does equity mean? Or when you're explaining a concept, like the easiest thing, should I buy or sell my home right now? Like the easiest
That's
thing.
True. It's really true.
Don't call it the monthly market update. Like, even as a homeowner, I had no idea what a market update was.
That idea. We had that. We did one video of that.
We did scratch it, though. We did one of it. We're like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore.
So, but here's the thing, though. Like, and that's like a lot of coaches in this business say to do that. And that's one of my, like, best performing videos, is because I was like, nobody cares about your monthly market report. Like, you're just doing it because someone told you to do it, or because your broker told you to do it. But the reality is that the most successful content creators who do an awesome monthly market update are the ones that don't use the words monthly market update. They say, hey, should you sell your home if you're living in Greenwich, Connecticut right now? Well, here's what I can tell you. Last month, this many homes sold in this amount of time, which means that, and even like low inventory, like words like that. What does that mean? And what does that mean in your market? How do I buy a house? How do I sell my house? Like, most people don't want to admit that they actually don't know all of the steps of that process. And you might think, well, my buyer has purchased a house before. Yeah, but have they purchased a house in your city, in your state, with that type of a loan, the different types of loans? Like something that I certainly had to learn, where I went from constantly being a salaried employee or having multiple places pay me, and then all of a sudden I went entirely to self-employed, and then also to where I'm having to pay employees. Like, I remember so many of the things I did wrong that I didn't realize. Like,
I did a lot of things wrong
totally
too.
Screwed over an escrow.
1099, yeah.
Yeah, or that like screwed me from not being able to invest as quickly as I would have liked. And also the miracle of like, well, thank God I bought my house before I did that.
Yeah,
because
it's
otherwise,
true.
like, just little things like that. But knowing who your ideal client or clients are. Like, are you talking to a lot of first-time home buyers? Are you talking to families? Are you talking to empty nesters who want to go into right sizing? And by you focusing, a lot of people think, well, then I'm going to scare other people away. No, by you focusing, you're going to make more people lean in, like, versus like scare them off. Other ideas, if you're, all of those different definitions of what you can do, answer one question and just give me one, no more than 3 answers. If you have like 67, congratulations, do it again, like recycle it, because it's possible that one person saw your video in November, but they didn't want to sell their home until April. So they're going to need to see that again. Like, do that video again, or share it as a story, share it as a live, and all of that. Like, it's so simple, it's stupid, but that's what will end up doing the best. And give your opinion. Give your perspective. Like, everyone's so afraid of being wrong or imperfect or saying the wrong thing. Like, what would it be like if your client called you on the phone and asked you a question? Like, would you start talking, and if you started over a word, oh, hold on a second, let me start over with my answer really quick. Hold on a second. Or hold on, let me just type these bullets and then I'll read them to you. Like, no. Like, you just lost your credibility. So just keep it simple and pay attention to those question marks that come up, and even things that you wish you would have known years ago.
Yeah. What if somebody says, I don't have time? So if you James and I, we always go back and forth. We always banter and go at each other. So I tell him, look, you should be doing this type of content. He's like, I don't have time. So
I don't say I don't have
yeah,
time.
you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you
I
do.
just say.
So
It's another story.
What do you say?
No, I literally just say, like, because.
Also, what happened over there?
Those are the-
Okay, did we break something?
No, what I usually say is, like, so I shoot my content with EPM.
Okay.
So, basically, like, the thing is, like, the podcast, we do it once a week. Mm-hmm. So it does take up, like, the podcast does take up some time. So, like, having more time set out during that time frame, because, like, I'm, like, 40 minutes away from here, setting out, like, 4 hours or whatever, 5 hours on like a Wednesday, which is like a super busy day for me, it doesn't really like work out too well for my schedule. So I just have to shift my schedule to where I can make it better, so I can incorporate everything in. Why are you putting me on a spot like that, bro?
How are you prioritizing your...
all of
no.
it is excuses.
You have to be vulnerable with your audience, okay?
You see how serious he was? And he's like, why'd you put me on the spot like that?
It's good. No, it's not putting you on the spot.
That's
It's
like-
keeping
that's
you
like
on
a
your
But I
toes.
only say it out of love, because
course.
he's a very smart individual, very smart young man, and he's good at his business. I'm like, you should be putting this content out there. I see other people do it who are just, green in the business. When he has the experience to do so, I'm like, you should be doing this.
Yeah.
So
So really, that's why you brought me on the podcast. This is actually an intervention.
You know what's funny? I was the one, like, I used to like nag Kevin like every single day to join social media, and now it's like the tables have turned. Now he's so hyperactive about social media, and I'm just like posting like once like a month, like on my Instagram.
Your
Like,
friends
I
and
need
family love you, James.
Yeah.
Will you commit to getting social media treatment today?
I have to.
No, I love it. And here's the thing, like the first step in all of it is just taking a look at how you manage your time. Like before we even make the excuse of I don't have the time, well, first of all, like where can we find time and just be more efficient with it? And that's something that I became obsessed with, especially when I began to have to travel all the time and also be there for my employees and grow and scale my business. And what I always do, and Kirsty, my assistant's here, so she can vouch for this.
Hey.
But like almost every single week, we are running time audits, or we are, and this is going to sound really annoying, so just like stick with me for a moment, but I will set Alexa to go off every 15 to 30 minutes. I'll do that for two reasons. If we're doing an actual audit, I will use that time to like write in what we were doing in that time, like whether it's her or me, like what are we doing in that time, just to see where our time is going. Or like, girl has ADHD. So what that will do is it forces me to just check myself for a second. Like, okay, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or did I accidentally go down a rabbit hole of tasks that don't matter right now, or negative thoughts of imposter syndrome that happens sometimes, or, like, am I on the phone too long with somebody, or like, do I need to stretch and get water? Because that happens sometimes too.
Gotta drink more water. That's on the list.
Yes.
That's on the list, by the way. Drink more water.
Always drink more water.
I heard Chrissy say that, so.
And there were a couple of things that came up, so this might be helpful if you're listening. But like over the last year, there were a lot of places where I realized like, oh my gosh, I'm wasting a lot of time. Number one was grocery shopping and meal prepping. And as a family of one and a plant and a dog, I would find myself, whether it was like a 15, 30-minute commute to the grocery store, like going to the grocery store, which I have way too much fun in the grocery store, so I go down every single aisle.
I do the same thing.
And then like going to the other grocery store that has like the type of protein powder that I really like, or like going to the Trader Joe's because they have like the cookie butter or whatever. And I would find like, oh my God, I'm putting hours into grocery shopping. So one thing that I started doing 2 years ago was now I order all my groceries. And now at this point, I delegate ordering all of my groceries. And now it just shows up at my doorstep, and then it gets put away for me. And in terms of meal prepping, having a local place or a restaurant or whatever like make meals for me, or ordering meals for us, where like not only are you figuring out how to manage your time, but like how much is your time actually worth? And we hear all the time, oh, if you could pay somebody less than what you make an hour, you should be delegating it out. But I do think that some thought goes into it. If, say, there's something that does take up a lot of time, but it makes you really happy and it forces you to reset, like, great, go for it. So grocery shopping is one. Bookkeeping was another one. Like, I was obsessed with just, like, checking how much money we were making, how much money was in the bank account, are people getting paid, keeping track of receipts and, like, order confirmations and all of that stuff. And, like, it would feel like it would be a couple seconds out of the day, but then it would add up into, like, minutes, which would then by the end of the week turn into hours. And then it was like, why don't I have a bookkeeper? Why don't I have a CPA to be able to do this for me? And for my mental headspace and sanity, like I should be delegating that out. Another one, and for some of you this is going to sound a little pretentious, but I never thought I would do it, and sure enough I did. I realized I was spending a lot of time picking out clothes. Like a lot of time picking out clothes, whether I was changing my outfit a whole bunch of times, or I knew that I had an event or travel coming up. So then I would run across town trying to find the dress, getting the dress tailored, going to the other location because they didn't have the shoes that I wanted. And it would be like hours out of the week. So now I hired a stylist. 90 minutes every single month. She comes over, brings over jeans, blazer, staples, whatever. And then even when I'm packing, because I pack a lot, like I live out of a suitcase, all of a sudden, like it turns into, 2 hours instead of 90 minutes. Emails. I don't get emails to my phone anymore. I don't get emails at all. Like it started out as personal work, but like I was constantly hitting that refresh, checking, thinking that it took a couple minutes, and then it would be like DMs, comments, emails, hours. So again, how can we find time first so that we have no excuse to say, I don't have the time, and then figure out, well, what do I need to prioritize time for? How can I then replace it? Is it that you need to prioritize time for your health? Like fitness or mental health or meditation or therapy, going to the doctor, like going to the dentist, whatever you need for that, social media, and then from there, how can I make sure that I'm blocking it out on my calendar, I'm making it sacred, a non-negotiable, just like I would any type of a big meeting with a big client, because that right there, like, a social media post can serve as hundreds of cold calls and door knocks because, like, it sits there forever. Yeah. And people think, well, it expires in 48 hours. No, it doesn't. Like, think about how many times you've used, say, Instagram to find a vendor for who knows what, and you don't follow them, and you're actively trying not to like their stuff just because you're, like, creeping on all the things. And you know, where right now I'm fighting to make eye contact with you guys and even the camera. Like, when you make a video, you are making eye contact at scale. Like, you are making eye contact with dozens or hundreds of people. And even if it's 10 people, that's 10 people who are seeing that video. And that is what's worth, like, every single ounce of time, because it will 10x in terms of how it could potentially pay you back. And if you suck right now, great. It'll also, like, get significantly better with you and, like, more comfortable. And I'm pretty sure everybody has one of these, which is what I very much specialize
He's got a flip phone.
Like, we got him for a second. Like, he was like, yeah, I do have one. Don't make it more impossible now.
So you're a really good speaker. Is this something that you always did, or what did you do before you got into speaking?
Yeah, you know, it's always been a part of what I've done. I worked in television and radio for a while, and I like to say that the way that it actually started out was when I was little. One of my earliest memories of public speaking was, like, we grew up in the fast food age and, like, in Minneapolis. And so it was the kind of thing where we always had, like, a car full of kids. And the easiest thing for my mom would be to just, like, go through the drive-through. So my mom would put in her order, and then she would pull up and put my window down, and I would be in the car seat, and I would order my order.
That's a lot of power right there.
I know. And I didn't realize just how much speaking has affected every single thing that I've done since then. My career accidentally started on YouTube forever ago, where it was before YouTube was a verb, before everyone and their mom had a blog, before influencer was a job title. But here's the thing, and this is what I think is so powerful about any social media platform you use. I never wanted to be a YouTuber. Like, that was beneath me. I didn't even know that it was a thing. I never wanted to have a bajillion subscribers. I just wanted to be able to get people to notice me from, like, the casting room. And where back then we were mailing out like media kits and, like, manila envelopes with our demo reels on DVDs.
Wow.
All of a sudden, I know, right? All of a sudden it was like, wait, I could just, like, copy and paste this link and send it in an email. And, like, I sucked, by the way. I don't make YouTube videos anymore. It is a goal for my 2022. But, like, I just wanted to use that as a means to an end. So, like, what is your end? For that, I wanted to get on TV. Like, for you, is it that you want to get more leads? Is it that you maybe want to practice being a speaker? Like, maybe you want to be a speaker, you want to have a podcast? Like, do you want to attract more agents to your team? Like, all of those things are totally different strategies that require totally different messaging. And so, like, getting super crystal clear about what that looks like and then practicing it and, like, sharing that gift with the world. And that's what gets me so excited.
The podcast, honestly, I talk to Kevin on the phone all the time. It's nice to have an hour with him, you know, in person. He didn't even know what I just said. See, This is what happens.
His jokes are terrible, by the way.
That wasn't a joke. That was sincerity to you, Kevin.
Oh, well, I apologize. I did not.
Listen.
One ear, one
I'm happy
out
you
the
didn't
other.
hear it. No, I'm happy you didn't hear it.
But no, talk about, like, we were talking about this earlier, where one of the first questions I asked you guys was, like, you know, where do you want the podcast to go? Like, what are you trying to do with this? And that's also where, like, again, it's not obvious. Some people want to do podcasting because they want to be podcasters. Like, they want to make money from the podcast and from downloads and from sponsors and that type of a thing, which you absolutely can do. And this is also a great way for you guys to network.
It is. It's, like, huge.
You know, it's a lot easier for you to reach out to someone and say, hey, come in. We'd love to talk to you. We're huge fans of you. Talk about yourself for an hour.
It's so much easier.
Versus
than just saying, hey, can we get a cup of coffee? Who the are you?
Like, who wants to ask someone to pick their brain? It's just so disgusting to me.
But it's engaging, too. It's like, it just goes past, like, the whole formalities and everything. And, like, when somebody comes on the show, like, it's not like, hi, how are you? It's like, yo, what's good? Like, how you doing? Like,
they act like it's like you know them.
Yeah.
So it's.
And I mean, like, you start off with the party poppers. Like, how can you
man.
not?
It's the best.
Like, you get to know and, like, filter out the assholes pretty quick, I would imagine. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Like, oh, you don't like fun? Okay.
So, you know what's crazy is that we launched March 7th, and it just happened so quickly. Like, it was just like a snowball effect, right? It was just so much traction that we were having, and then it just became a brand. And we made hoodies and just had a charity event for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. We raised over $18,000 for children battling cancer. Yeah, it was amazing. And just the support that we've had, it was like, when we talked about this, we're like, all right, this is gonna work or it's not gonna work. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be terrible. But people like to see us going back and forth and going at each other's necks and having fun. But
if you hadn't done it, you wouldn't know if it would have been good or terrible.
I know.
People love it for that. People love us like hating on each other. So we're like, all right, let's use this. Let's use what people like and then put it to the test. So it was fun. It was a great game. And looking back at it now, just like seeing like the network we've created through podcasting and stuff like that, and like raising $18,000 for a great cause, like it's just when you take a step back and look at it, it's just like, wow, like that's great, and it's been accomplished because we just started to make a podcast. So it's like it's great. It's great seeing those things. But I think, like, in the long term, like, our goal with this was just, like, share knowledge and just, like, it's fun talking about real estate, too. So it's fun for us. We like to share knowledge. But, like, getting the money from it and stuff, like, that wasn't really, like, a goal that we had. But it was more just, like, spreading knowledge, talking to other people, and just networking as well. So those are our main goals, like, from the beginning, I would say.
And the failure rate for podcasts, what is it? Like most podcasts don't even hit episode 10 or something.
Yeah, it's
or
crazy.
Like 9,
we
8,
are
7.
episode. You're episode what? 30 something.
Close to 40.
You beat
We're
the odds. Because some people would look at those odds and be like, "Oh man, like pretty much everybody fails, so like I probably shouldn't do it." And you guys were like, "But what if we do?"
Well,
Yeah.
we wanted to do something different. Like the confetti, we throw money at times. We bring champagne. Like it's just out of the box podcast.
We're just really random.
Yeah.
Like we're just like do like random
Like
stuff.
ADHD, it's like a podcast on ADHD. Like you just don't know what's gonna happen next. It just happens.
Well, and that's also something too where I feel like a lot of people get discouraged from social media because they think that it's oversaturated. Or like, oh, I don't want to do a podcast, it's oversaturated. Oh, I don't want to start on YouTube because it's oversaturated. But like, hold on a second. It's not a matter of like the competition or having to stand out in a certain way. Like, what makes you unique is your perspective and your experience or your lack thereof. And like, that's what people connect to. They're like you could have someone do the Real Estate and Chill podcast with, White Boys from LA or something. And like, I'm serious. And like, and you could give them the exact same topic and their show would be completely different.
Yeah.
And attract a totally different base from like their own network. And you guys could win and they could win. Like, that's where I think we overthink it too much. Like, oh, but I want to do the market report different because we're going to do it eating French fries in my car. Like, I mean, if you eat French fries in your car, great, like those Sonic commercials, but like, you don't have to. Or, well, I want to go out and do something on the Manhattan Bridge and like, I mean, if you want to, great. Like going back to time management, like if you want to do a tour of the city because you're constantly walking around the city, great. But if you spend most of the day in your office, just do it from your office. What's going to be the most time efficient? Is it going to be most time efficient if you block out one day and film for 8 hours? Like I have one friend who, I kid you not, she does 28 videos in one day.
My gosh, it's a lot.
If I didn't pick up your calls for one day, would you kill me?
I would drive to his office. What is going on?
But she'll do it. She'll block it out in one day. And then she'll have all of her content for 1 month. But for some people, like blocking it out like that gives them anxiety. So then, okay, in that case, maybe you block out time once a week or every other week, or maybe it's once a day. Like figure out how your brain works and what you need. For you, it might be, all right, I'm going to shoot everything in one day. I'm going to edit everything in one day. Or I'm going to outsource all of this or, but just commit to something. Like see how you're already consuming it and what is going to make the most sense. And also just like be mindful. Are you spending more time creating or are you spending more time consuming?
Yeah.
Because if you're spending a shit ton of time consuming, like the average person spends at least an hour on social media every single day. And that's not for work or for research as much as we can trick ourselves into what that looks like. It's probably just you screwing around.
Yeah,
and it might not be all at
on.
once. Like it might be like while you're on the toilet or like, between meetings or like you're just killing time at an open house. And that's all time that you could be spending growing your business and or creating content to connect with your next potential client that you're not utilizing effectively and adds up to months out of the year that you're not working.
Honestly, I feel like my social media strategy is a little bit different just because, like, for me,
Wait, what strategy? I thought you didn't post.
Oh, yeah, but like how I
All of a sudden, he has a strategy.
how I use it, how I utilize
That
it.
strategy is not a good strategy.
No, but like the thing is, like when I do post, like I post mostly for realtors actually instead of for like prospective clients. So like a lot of my stuff is like.
But those are your
geared
referrals. Like that's
yeah,
great.
Exactly. Like that's
Yeah.
like when I do post, like that's things that I post about usually. So I feel like it's cool. Why are you laughing? It's so funny.
I just don't know.
I called you out. That's why.
Basically. So with all this following that you have, I mean, it's a lot. I'm sure your phone is going off consistently because you have on YouTube over 8,000 followers, Instagram over 29,000 followers, TikTok 150,000 followers.
And you're verified.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Pretty cool.
Check. Yeah. So, like, how do you make time to reply back to everybody? And do you do every podcast? I'm sure people reach out to you all the time. Like, hey, do you want to come on? Do you want to? How do you handle all that?
Well, first of all, don't pay attention to my YouTube right now. It's really old. But whenever it's there, it's fine. You can
Link
go
in
see
bio.
my oldest videos. Actually, yesterday I did an event, and at the last minute, I did a remix where I was like, okay, everything I thought I was going to talk about, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to do something else. And I had them pull up my first YouTube video that I have still in public existence. And it was so painful to watch, but it's there. Like, and I'm better for it. Like, it's good to see. But anyway, I digress. So when it comes to like the following that I have, well, I want to touch on the fact that I'm verified on TikTok and just in general, that following count. Like, following count does not mean shit. Especially since so many people buy that nowadays. And like there are plenty of people who can get likes and views, but again, what is your intention here? Are you trying to be a content creator who you get the likes or the views or the brand partnerships, which you can still get brand partnerships with not that many likes and not that many views, but again, I digress. Or are you trying to actually change and grow your business and who you are as a confident, communicative human being? In that case, like the numbers that you need to be watching are the ones that are paying your rent, paying your employees, like keeping your lights on, keeping the show going and flowing, keeping the party poppers like delivered every month. So
Yeah, we need a
Right.
sponsorship. We need
Yeah.
something.
Yo, some confetti.
right.
Who makes
Somebody
it?
who's watching this, sponsor us.
So, and with TikTok, you know, I think it's really valuable to just acknowledge the fact that yes, I'm verified and I work a lot with TikTok. Like TikTok has hired me for a lot of different projects.
You just did an event. I don't mean to cut
I
you
just
off.
did an event
Yeah, can you
in
talk about
Miami with TikTok, and it was for their Latinx Creatives program, talking about how you can be more entrepreneurial with your content creation and growing a business and all of that, and managing your money and hiring and whatever. And I think it's just so valuable to recognize the fact that I don't have 1 million followers over there, and I don't post every single day. And I don't post clickbait. And that is a testament of where TikTok is going and where all the other social media platforms are panicking, because they're investing a lot of money in educational content and value. They don't want to be the platform where you just go viral for no reason or where it's just about songs and music and dancing. Because let's be real, like the music labels still haven't fully latched onto TikTok either. And so there will be many days where you wake up and all of a sudden the music just disappears and all of a sudden the video has no audio whatsoever, which is also why I hate the songs and the dancing and pointing to bubbles and text, because that could go away, but also because I want you to understand the trust that happens when people see your eyes and hear your voice and see that you actually smile as a human being and know your expertise. But, you know, as far as blocking out time and making time for replying to DMs and figuring out who I want to give my time to, I turn off my DMs on TikTok unless it's for friends. And I do that because it forces people to then go to my Instagram. And then they get to see another side of me because I have other posts. They get to see my writing style. They get to see the other sides of Giselle that they don't see on TikTok. And it also filters out the ones who just want, and are needy and like, you know, take. So if they really want to reach out to me, then they can slide into my DMs on Instagram. When you get to Instagram, I have Mobile Monkey set up, which is a messaging bot, which automatically gives you a greeting of, hey, are you interested in coaching? Yes, no. Are you a real estate agent? Yes, no. And it helps to, again, just filter through whatever that looks like.
Smart.
I'm really smart about the primary and the requests and the general folder of who is allowed in which mailbox. And I'm also very careful that I have no notifications turned on ever. So I block out time throughout the week to check those messages. If you're in primary, I will occasionally turn those notifications on because some people don't have my phone number, and so that's the equivalent of text for us. Like getting here today, for example, because I didn't know where this was. I'm like, oh my God, are they going to kill us?
You know what's
like,
funny is like you walk through the back door, not even the front door. Like
no,
how,
they did. They let
oh,
us in. Yeah, they took us
oh.
back there. They
Oh.
took us back there. Yeah.
Oh,
Dallas,
okay.
Dallas let us in.
Oh,
Gave
Dallas.
us the whole
Dallas
spiel.
is great.
And then from there, like if you do get into my email messages, again, going back to like what I found with my time blocking, whatever, which by the way, like I am not an organized human being. This took a lot of effort. Like this took years. Like I find comfort in clutter. I love to fly by the seat of my pants. Like I am like, oh my God, there's a mountain. Let's climb to the top of that mountain. And my assistant has to be like, hold on a second. Did you pack enough outfits and water? And like, did you sleep? I'm like, doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. We'll drink our own pee. Like whatever. Like whatever. Like we can do. That was extreme.
That's for TikTok.
Yeah. But, you know, and so now that I've created systems around email and like whether it's blocking out my time or blocking out the task, I can have a gatekeeper take care of my email where I only see what I actually need to see and everything else she can take care of. And that's what allows for me to be a lot more efficient with the time because no, I don't respond to everybody. I'll take a couple minutes. Anytime I post something on a platform, I might take 10 or 15 minutes afterwards just to reply to the first few comments to get that initial engagement going that hopefully the algorithm will push that out to more people and people will know that it's me and that I do actually reply to things. That's also why I'm adamantly against scheduling tools for social media. And then beyond that, I'm out.
That's all it takes? That sounds like a lot.
I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's a process. So it's like, pick your baby steps. Like, what's one thing you can do today to be more efficient with your time? Like, for some of you, it might just be, okay, I'm going to turn off my notifications. Or I'm going to turn on screen time on my phone in my settings.
Oh my gosh. Do you look at your screen? I mean, I'm sure you do. Do you look at your screen time?
Yeah, my screen time is insane. Like 9 hours.
Yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
9 hours a day on
What?
my phone.
Yeah.
What?
My business is literally my phone. Like
Yeah.
I'm answering
I
text
mean, me
messages.
too. My business
Yeah.
is social
Wait, hold on.
media.
How do I even... Today I'm at 2 hours, 54 minutes. Let's see this week. This week, yesterday, I was on my phone for 9 hours, 6 minutes. Wednesday for 10 hours and 6 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
But here's what
my gosh.
But does screen time include phone calls? Because I don't think it does.
If it doesn't, I guess I'm doing something
Yeah,
wrong.
so that's where I'm like, hold on a second though. Is that really screen time? Because I don't think it includes phone calls.
I don't know.
He's like, oh damn. Like
Yeah.
now we need a whole nother intervention.
Wait, but it says yesterday I was only on the phone for 2 minutes. But there's no way I was on the phone for 2 minutes yesterday. I was
So-
on the phone
you
for
didn't
for like
you didn't
an
answer
hour.
my calls.
So
I
then
don't
it
know.
was probably that the screen turned off because you were like
Oh,
on
yeah,
it.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So 10
So-
hours?
10 hours doing what? I don't even know.
Could have been
Text,
creating content.
emails. You couldn't have been creating content. Definitely wasn't.
So what are some of the accomplishments besides the recent TikTok event that you went to that you're extremely proud of? We saw you spoke in Boston, correct? With Ryan Serhan and Jorge, who we connected with. What are other accomplishments that you're like, wow, this is amazing?
Oh my goodness. I mean, this whole year has been amazing, and especially the way that this industry has embraced me in the way that they did. I remember in March when I started to really lean into, you know what, I think there's something here with my real estate people. Like with I have like a family of mentors and like brothers who I'm obsessed with. And I was like, you know what, I think it'd be really cool if like Inman invited me to speak next year, like in 2 years. And within like a few months, they invited me.
Wow.
Within a month or two, you know, the Serhant team reached out and said, hey, we want you to come talk about TikTok. And I think it's important where it's, you know, I don't just talk about TikTok. I talk about time management and getting on video and social media optimization and even Instagram and how you can be more efficient with generating leads. Like even the equivalent of cold calling, like I coach real estate agents how they can actually use social media to do a whole different effective way of one-to-one video where it's not a video that's meant for your whole following, but like how can you optimize video in your texts, in your emails, in your DMs. So to get invited by Inman, you know, to
That's
come and
huge.
speak, like that was
huge.
really cool. To be able to look around and Clubhouse was a huge
He was big on
propellant.
Clubhouse.
I used to use
Were
Clubhouse
you?
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when my screen time was at 10 hours, it's not anymore. Now it's like between 4 and 6. But I got a second phone because
Really?
I was on Clubhouse so much. So much.
It would be funny if I followed you on Clubhouse. If we met over Clubhouse.
She blocked
Maybe.
you on Clubhouse.
Honestly,
You probably did.
I did not know who was in Clubhouse rooms I was in. Finance Jeremy was in my Clubhouse rooms, and when I didn't know who he was beforehand, unfortunately, because I wish I knew him earlier. But he has almost 1 million followers on Instagram. And then we were just people saying whatever, we were inviting people from the room, and I invited him onto stage. When he came on stage, 200 people just randomly joined the room. And then I was talking to him after, and we connected. Oh, the dude from Wall Street Bets, the guy who owns Wall Street Bets, follows me on Clubhouse. So that's complex. But
if you were in any of the real estate rooms, we probably were in a lot of the same rooms.
I'm sure.
For sure. And I didn't realize, and it's kind of funny how that works. For me, TikTok's a differentiator. If your excuse is it's too saturated, TikTok's not. TikTok is very much not. TikTok is moving to a new city or a new school. You will have this false sense of anonymity where you can do whatever you want. And I have real estate agents who I'm friends with or who I coach who they have all different styles. There's one who looks direct to camera, another one who doesn't. There's one who barely talks about real estate and just does vlogs from his car, and then one who only talks about real estate. One who it's when she's getting ready every morning and she's talking to that first-time home buyer. The other one who talks specifically to couples who want to buy real estate together and what that means for them, and talking about wealth and all of that. But it was that I was still working at an agency at the time. We were working with a ton of realtors. Those were really big clients for us. And I just noticed a network called the Real Estate Agent and Broker Lounge on Clubhouse. And I'm like, I'll hop in here and I just want to listen. Because at that time I wasn't really participating. And one of the agents on the stage recognized me from TikTok and invited me up. And I don't think he realized at all my extensive knowledge of working in the real estate world. But very quickly I proved myself. And all of a sudden, this group of humans who was coming back every single day because we were obsessed became family. And they realized the value that I could bring. And then from there, we just kept growing and growing and growing. And I didn't realize until I think we met in person where I was like, oh, damn, they are really dominating each of their markets and how, well-connected they were. But ultimately, it was just I was so clear on where I wanted to go. I was consistent with my content. I was very clear with who I was talking to. I used the word you a lot. And that's a secret too. Use the word you. You needs to be the first words out of your mouth, the first sentence of your caption. It needs to be in there. If it's constantly I, look at me, it needs to be a conversation, even though it's just you talking or you writing. And so I constantly, very clearly had that person in mind, of my agent, of my broker, of my decision maker who was at the top of the chain who could come and hire me. And so we were just talking earlier, we're pretty cool, where initially I was well, I have a lot of the trendy people who are following me, but I really want to get in with the I don't even know what word to use, but the ones who have the reputation and who are notable, and they're kind of the old school mentality. So for Berkshire Hathaway to reach out and say, hey, we want you to keynote our conference, I was oh, dang, really? What? That was for sure great, because I think that it's so important to not just get in with the people who are younger, because it's not all younger, I understand that, but the people who've been doing this for a really long time, and maybe they know it's important, or maybe they don't, or maybe they're still adamantly opposed, and show them what you can do and who you can reach, because no, it's not just kids, and no, it's not about dancing, but how can even you set a better example for the people who are going to come after you? How can you put an imprint on it? And then last thing, because I know I've been going on for a minute, but I just noticed over and over and over that I would see all these conference lineups, and it was the exact same people. The exact same people. And
Gary Vee, hire me. Whatever you need from
right? It was the exact same people, and it was the exact, and all of them looked the same, too. There's so many lineups where it was just the dudes, it was just the boys club, and so many instances where everybody had been in the industry for the same amount of years, and it was where's the diversity in thought? Where's the diversity in opinion? Where's the diversity in experience? Where's the diversity in color? All of that, and the home buyer in 2021, 2022 does not look the same. How can we make sure that we're reaching out to those people and and understanding like how we can continue to create wealth for a lot of different communities. So there's me on my soapbox, and this is Giselle.
Gems after gems.
I'm done speaking. Like the Clubhouse sign off. Like this is just on the purple, and I'm done speaking.
Follow me on Instagram if you have any questions, anything like that. I remember that. Clubhouse is such a good time because it was like COVID too.
Yeah.
Like COVID times too. So I was like at night I would literally just turn on Clubhouse after work.
Yeah.
And I would still do it like even when I went back into the office. You missed it. You would have loved it. Like.
Yeah, he would always invite me. I'm like, no, I'm not going.
But no, I mean you dropped a lot of gems on that. And another thing that you do is also motivational speaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that do you also do motivational coaching or?
I used to do performance coaching, like certified high performance coaching. So really focusing on clarity and productivity and courage and influence and a lot of the things that make leaders who and what they are. And I still do that on a very limited basis. But instead what I've done is through online performance coaching, which is something that I coined, it gives you a little bit of both of those worlds. Like I very much believe that marketing strategy is not about a campaign. It's not about your service. It's how you're showing up every single day. And like, how do we show that in an authentic way? And I almost hate to even use the word authentic because I think a lot of people are trying to manufacture authenticity right now, or they're like really stuck in their own heads of what they think they're supposed to be doing. And so it's the kind of thing where you come to me for the social media help, but then we end up figuring out, all right, where are some other areas where I can be more productive, be more efficient, be warmer or kinder, and we try to create a family out of everything that we do. And I found too where a lot of people come to me and they say, I want one-on-one coaching from you. And I'm happy to do it, but I've also, as a leader, had to set boundaries for myself because something that I very much learned from my mentor, James Rember, is, he said that if your DNA is required for everything, then in that sense, like you just have cash flow and you're self-employed, you're not actually an entrepreneur and you're not a business. So I'm trying to figure out ways that in the same way that a lot of people try to remove themselves for production or grow their team, like how can I scale in that way? And so, with one-on-one coaching, I was happy to do it, but I'd find a lot of people who had a lot of money and then all of a sudden life would happen or money was not an object. And so they might drop off for a little bit. And for me, I'm so passionate about the success of my clients that I really wanted to be able to create environments where they would thrive and change. And so that's where I love my group coaching because people have the accountability of other people. They have the masterminding and conversations that they can have with other people who are in the same business or industry. They can have the referral network of that. There's the time limit on it. And then from there, just like the ongoing learning and accountability that comes with that. So that's what makes me really happy and gets me excited to wake up every day.
Outside of work.
I have no enthusiasm whatsoever. I hate what I do, clearly.
Outside of work, what do you like to do on your spare time? Because everybody needs you time. Mm-hmm. My thing is I like to wake up really early in the morning, like 5 a.m, go to the gym and just zone out. Like I don't like to think about anything. I don't answer my calls. I'm just music playing nonstop and that's it. Like what is something that makes you happy outside of the business?
I'm obsessed with my dog.
What kind of dog?
What kind of dog
I
you
have?
have?
I have a long-haired Chihuahua. She's really like a large hamster. Yeah. She's like a panda hamster, chicken nugget, gremlin, like fuzzy
it's a weird mix.
caterpillar. And her name is Penelope Cruz. Yes.
She speaks Spanglish too?
Yes.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
perfect.
she does. Yeah, she's wonderful. So I love my dog so much. It's hard for me to travel, but she's the great, and I could travel with her if I wanted to.
She's pocket size.
I'm super close to my family. I'm obsessed with my parents. We love watching football on Sundays, even though the Vikings, it's just the most dysfunctional, toxic relationship that you could have with a football team. I love working out. I love yoga. I want to get better at my Spanish. That's something that I've set my intention for. I love to read, or more so listen. I'm listening to Gino Wickman's new book right now, The EOS Life, Leading Your Ideal Entrepreneurial Life. But
do you read?
I read sometimes.
He does not. Continue.
Yeah?
Sorry.
Are you reading anything right now?
I am not.
Yeah, see, why would you even ask me that? What kind of question is that?
I don't read. I listen to podcasts when I'm driving. That's the only thing I do.
Podcasts are great. Yeah, I love listening to podcasts. But I'll be fully honest with you. I sat down with my best friend last week and I was like, I think I need a new hobby. Because I am really bad in that I'll find ways to either think about work or turn it into some sort of monetization. And so she's like, well, what kind of a hobby? I'm like, I don't know. Like, maybe we need to go take a hip hop class or do pottery or like, I don't know, like the favorite thing that I've ever done is I took a vegetable chopping class.
Really? It's so
I
random.
took a vegetable chopping class a few years ago.
I'm good with vegetable chopping.
I love vegetable chopping.
I'm like a samurai.
I love chopping. I'm not good at it, but there's something really therapeutic about it. And also, very recently, I've started to edit a lot of my own videos again, where I spent the whole 2020 only making content from this to prove a point to everyone who was like, I don't have a team, I don't have the equipment. And I was like, fine, let me show you what you can do and what you can grow and what you can build from this. And that's where TikTok really took off. And then more recently, I've been doing a lot of events where I'm able to capture that footage and chop it up and repurpose and reuse it. And I used to outsource all of the shooting and all of the editing, but I recently started to edit my footage again. And where a lot of my friends and mentors would be like, oh, you should delegate that. You know, like, it's not worth your time. It's forced me to take a pause and just celebrate where I've been, like where I don't take time to celebrate. And especially like we as entrepreneurs can get super into the hustle and bustle, keep going, next thing. Like, it forced me to ground myself for a minute and be like, damn, like, look what you did. Like, look how far you've come.
But
and it makes me feel good. Like, I like it. I'm not like, oh, I have to do this.
Honestly, like, I feel like that's what you said in the beginning is also a problem I have too. I feel like I incorporate like work into like everything I do.
I do too.
And it's just like I feel like it's not
hard.
a good thing to do, but like I feel like it's become like my whole personality, which like I'm trying to prevent that from happening.
Well, we're a business. It's different. You know? It's
like
branding.
yourself, like we're like
Branding is everything. I mean, I had a hoodie on today. I went shopping, Christmas shopping before I came here. Roosevelt Field Mall.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It'll hit the mailbox on December 25th. So
okay.
Stay tuned. But I had the hoodie on that I gave you. Like, it says our brand, our Real Estate and Chill podcast hoodie. And I got stopped by like 4 people just talking real estate to me. They're like, oh, you're in real estate? And I made 4 connections.
Look.
Just by shopping.
Numbers?
Of course.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. So it was amazing.
But it's hard, you know? Like, I was, I remember I hit August and I was so burnt out. And it was the kind of thing where I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I'm working less, I'm meditating more, I'm delegating more. Why am I burnt out? Oh, because I'm still incorporating work into every single fucking day and thing that I'm doing. And I'm constantly checking the email, or I'm checking the, social media, or I'm doing this, or like I'm looking at, again, all the reasons why I took some of the steps that we were talking about earlier. And so now it's just having to be a little bit more cognizant of, and when I went through that time, I have this group of awesome women who we talk about money, we talk about family, we talk about relationships, we talk about work, like everything and how we run our businesses. And I remember being like, they really need to have a retreat for like creators or for entrepreneurs or whatever. Like, we should totally start that. Unless that's like my friend, she's like, Giselle, you're doing it again. Like, you're doing it again. Like, what do you mean set up a retreat? Like, you're the one who needs to go to the retreat. I'm like, oh yeah, God. What am I doing? Oh God.
Well, I mean, I guess it shows that we really do enjoy what we do. So.
Yeah.
We love what we do. But I mean, you gave us so much knowledge, so much information. We're honored to have you here as a guest. Is there anything else you can leave us off with?
Oh my God. If you listened to this entire podcast and you're still here, thank you. But, I feel like anytime I speak somewhere, whether it's a podcast or a stage, like I'll get the notes that are like, thank you so much. You inspired me so much. And I love that. And it never gets old. But the best thing you can do to say thank you is show me your receipt. And by that, it doesn't mean that you have to buy my product or my coaching. But if you do, that'd be great. But you don't have to.
Shameless plug.
But rather, like, show me your receipt of implementation. Like, show me the screenshot or the video or the DM or the story of, like, you took something from this, whether it was, like, you set up your TikTok profile or you did a reintroduction post or you changed your bio or, like, the comment that your client left because you decided to be more transparent about your business. And I think that's like the biggest thing that you needed to be is like, be so very transparent. Let your client know what's going to happen next. Don't just share the victories, but let them know like what happened when you messed up and how you learned from it. Let them know that like you were in a bidding war and that you ultimately won out, or maybe you lost, but like what you learned from that. And I think that the biggest mistake you can make is thinking that you need to set up this beautiful butterflies and rainbows picture, but really that's setting you up for failure, because then when things go wrong, they're going to feel like they were cheated or lied to, and that's what turns into a nightmare of a client situation. So show me your receipts of implementation and keep listening to the Real Estate and Chill podcast.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's a cosign, right?
Yeah, that's the cosign. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Well, that was the
That's
latest
fun.
episode of the Real Estate and Chill podcast. We will see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Real Estate and Chill podcast with James Chaudhry and Kevin Iglesias. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, share this with your friends, your enemies, your mother-in-law. No, seriously, this podcast is so fucking good, you might want to tell your ex. See you next time.